From Oklahoma City, it's the North American Six-Horse Hitch Championship. Brought to you by Express Employment Professionals and the Oklahoma State Fair. Now, here's your hosts, Pam Minnick and Katie Kaufman.
The Hitches are making their final preparations, and the crowds are starting to fill into the performance arena here at the Oklahoma State Fair, and it will be standing room only. Hello and welcome to the North American Six-Horse Hitch Classic Series Championship Finals. This is the culmination of a year of travel across the U.S. and Canada, and these are the top 4 hitches of Belgians, Percherons, and Clydesdale Shires that make up the 12 championship teams.
Pam, these are the best of the best, and it will be the most minute detail that may separate the winner. The judges will be looking for high-stepping, powerful horses, all marching in step, as well as the overall appearance of the horses, wagon, and harness. And we can't forget the driver's expertise at maneuvering them, which takes skill.
It certainly does. And this year, it's mostly family-owned hitches that have qualified, but it takes a team in the barns, feeding, grooming, braiding, and hitching to get the horses and wagon down the road and into the show ring.
Our host, Mr. Bob Funk of Express Employment Professionals, is a generous supporter here in Oklahoma City and obviously a big fan of the six-horse hitches. He's guaranteed a $100,000 payoff this year.
Tonight is the finals. The champion will be the best of 3 go-rounds. 2 are behind us. Let's take a look.
Here are the 12 qualifiers in 3 breed categories, starting with the Percherons.
And they are beautiful. This is All Star Farms. They're from Michigan, driven by Ross Hansberger, and that's his wife, Nicole, as his assistant.
Next up, Zubrod Percherons from right up the road in Guthrie. This is a family-owned hitch driven by Dr. Chad Zubrod and his wife, Melissa, also his assistant.
From Iowa, Shining Stars Percherons, owned by Diana Marquardt, driven by Jared Hansen, assisted by Reese Mangles.
Next up, Blue Ribbon Days, owned by 2 families who work very well together, Jim and Peggy Day, as well as Albert and Karen Clevey. They are driven by the Woodbury family, Dean, Kelly, Allie, and Cody.
Now let's meet the Belgians. Hammersmith Belgians is from Ohio. It's owned by Craig and Chris Hammersmith and driven by Jason Hansberger.
Brockwood Belgians is next up from Pennsylvania, owned by the Brockhoff family, driven by Bud Miller, assisted by Sarah Brockhoff.
And Willow Creek Belgians, owned by Matt and Sue Frieden and family, and by the Miller family as well, driven by Gary Miller, and that's Whitley Frieden as his assistant.
They are located in Joy, Illinois. Next, we have Country Lane Belgians from Ontario, Canada. They are owned by the English family. Ted recently passed away, and his wife Chris and children attended the finals. Kyle Forsyth is the driver, and Marcia, his wife, is also his assistant.
He was in the industry for 16 or 17 years. I mean, and just loved it. He just loved the horses. That was the biggest thing. He had a true love for the horses and the people. Yeah, he was a great guy. He was almost like family to us, and we just appreciate all the opportunity he provided to us.
In the Clydesdale Shire division, we begin with McLaughlin Clydesdales of Ontario, owned and driven by Ray McLaughlin.
Broken Spoke Clydesdales of Kansas. This is their 2nd time to the finals. Mark DeCoutris and family are the owner, and Mark also drives.
Representing the Shire breed, Dakota Thunder Shires is from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. They're owned by Houston and Judith Halgo and driven by Joe Beeren, with Johnny assisting.
And Express Clydesdales from Yukon, the hometown favorite. These beautiful black Clydesdales are driven by Josh Minchell and owned by Mr. Bob Funk. Founder of Express Employment Professionals, he's committed to making the finals all that they can be, and the exhibitors definitely recognize that.
This year's finals is as tough as I've ever seen it. Bob Funk and Express Clydes are probably to thank for it, because there was a fight in all three breeds to get here. The premium and the money that's put up, and they roll the red carpet out for us here. They just do a phenomenal job. So it didn't matter if you lived in Oklahoma or if you lived in Ontario, you were going to try to get here, because the money and the hospitality that they put out is second to none. It's just very, very nice.
Premium is probably as great as it's ever been for a draft horse event, and it really drove people to a lot of shows to get the points, to get to the finals. People are really driving to get here. I mean, and now that you're here, you're starting to see the top hitches have really pushed to get here.
The promotion that Mr. Funk and Josh and Laura Minchell have done to promote this, to raise the premiums, has raised the level of the event, and people want to come and participate in this. And it's created a drive for people to get points and really try to make it here, to be a part of a special event this year.
Well, our commitment, of course, is to bring this event to Oklahoma City and make the Oklahoma Cityans and Oklahomans proud to have the North American Six-Horse Championship here on our grounds. And we want to make it the very, very best. If it's a championship, it needs to be the very best and the best thing for the participants. And there's been a lot of competition up to the last 2 weeks to get here so that they compete in this championship. So we're extremely proud to have it here in Oklahoma City. Well, we raised the premium to $100,000 added, which means that we can pay all the way down to the 12th place. I think the 12th place gets $5,000 as well. So the premiums are higher than it's been, I think, in any other event for a long time. So we're really proud of that. And of course, Express is the backbone of that, but there are many other sponsors that have done a great job, and Josh and Laura have done a fabulous job of raising money for their competitors, and that's what it's all about, helping each other.
Bob Funk is completely committed to the Classic Series finals and loves it. We love having it here in Oklahoma. We love having the level of competition here, and we have a great group of sponsors that are committed to the show year after year. One of the benefits that the sponsors have each night is to ride out on their sponsored wagon, and it's such a thrill for them. I mean, just to feel the power behind the six horses. So it's quite the opportunity for these guys to be a part of it.
I'm more proud, of course, of Josh and Laura for what they've done for me, because you're only as good as your people. You can have great animals, you can have great equipment, you can have great properties, but it's really the people that make the difference. And Josh and Laura are respected throughout the industry, and I couldn't do enough to support them because they do such a great job. That's really what it's all about. It's about the family of the heavy horse hitches, and it's wonderful to be around those kind of people.
Bob Funk is a proud Oklahoman. In fact, one of the reasons we see his beautiful Clydesdale hitch in the finals is because he thought it would be a great representative of the state in parades.
And they also make appearances at Express franchises, as well as competing on the six-horse hitch circuit. We'll be back with more from the finals right after this.
Sometimes the dreams of a child come to life in unexpected ways. When world champions, goodwill ambassadors, bring hope and healing to many, and captivated hearts in every community. Appearances by the Express Clydesdales of Express Employment Professionals have already helped raise millions for charities, including over $4 million for Children's Miracle Network hospitals in the U.S. and Canada.
Welcome back to Oklahoma City and the North American Six-Horse Hitch Classic Series Finals. We mentioned 2 go-rounds are behind us. Let's take a look back at round 1.
Round one, it's always good to have that first one under your belt, Pam. And as you can see, they've all are here in the lineup. We have a mix of veterans and also some newcomers to the 6-horse hitch finals this year.
Obviously, the veterans handle the nerves of round one a little bit better, and we see Dean Woodbury, Blue Ribbon Days Percherons, take the win. Dean, always a tough competitor, 2-time champion.
Very tough competitor, and his son Cody is always up on the box helping him along.
If you get the first night, then you know you're on the right track. No guarantees because all 12 hitches here it's a very tough competition, and it just keeps getting stronger every year.
Prior to round two, we had a chance to visit with driver Ross Hansberger just about the competition here and how tough it really is.
It's a great feeling every night knowing that anybody could win. It's not, set in stone before it's over. You got an idea this one's going to win. Well, there's quite a few hitches here that got a good shot at being at that top notch every night, so it's fun. Things were just going well. Like, you could just tell everything was clicking. They were all on their game, and when they are, they're a tough bunch to beat, and I had a good feeling tonight about it. We'd be in the hunt to get it. It'll be an epic battle. I mean, between two Percheron mares, that's what we like. If it can't be us, we hope it'll be another Percheron mare hitch to represent our breed.
And after the judge took a look at all the hitches in round number 2, All Star Farms and Ross Hansberger did take the win.
They did, Pam, and those Percherons were definitely stepping in time with one another. And if Ross was a little bit nervous, he didn't show it this night.
Well, it's round number 3, heat number 1. The 12 hitches will be divided into 3 heats, each with 4 hitches in them. We begin with round 2's winner, All Star Farms, coming into the arena.
And Pam, Ross has been a tough competitor ever since he got to the finals this go-round. He has really been on his A game.
Of course, we talked about his wife, Nicole, his assistant, and she knows a lot about those horses.
I love saying a little girl power up on the assistant's position, definitely.
Right behind them, take a look at more Percherons, and they are high-stepping. Round 1's winner, Dean Woodbury, and the Blue Ribbon Days Percherons come into the arena second. They want to make an impression with this judge right out of the gate.
And you know what? Dean is such a veteran. They've been to the finals numerous times. You have to be a little bit nervous knowing you're in the same heat as the Blue Ribbon Days.
Here's Jason Hansberger and these big, beautiful Belgians of Hammersmith Belgians. They look strong.
They do look very strong, and we've talked to Jason a few times, and he says they're always pulling on him, and they are ready to battle.
And last, in heat number 1, are more Percherons. This is Dr. Chad Zubrod from right up the road with Zubrod Percherons.
And what I love so much about the Zubrod Percherons hitch, Pam, they're a family-owned hitch. There is a lot of love and labor that goes into making those Percherons look spotless.
And Melissa has been his assistant all year long, and she's a little bit nervous, but they're doing a great job.
You wouldn't know it.
Ross Hansberger of All Star Farms talks about how important the assistant is.
My wife, Nicole, is my assistant on the wagon, and I rely on her heavily. She knows the ins and outs of all the horses just like I do, so she's always talking to them, and she's pointing out things that I might not see, and it's a good relationship.
Pam, Ross touches on a great point. The assistants are essential, especially in competition. We're going to now turn to Dean Woodbury and what an amazing year he and Blue Ribbon Days has had.
From my lead to the wheel, my mares this year are very consistent. I just set them up to make them fresher at this show. It's just like everything else. Some horses you put them in position and that's where they stay and that's where they like, but some of them you need to move around and give them a little different look, and they'll be a little fresher.
We can always count on Albert and Karen Clevey to be cheering on these horses, and also streaming live on Facebook. They've got over 30,000 fans on their Facebook page. What great supporters. Jason Hansberger will take us through his starting lineup.
It starts off with the lead pair. We got Skip and Taz. They were selected as the dream team at our World Belgian show. They're pretty special. And then behind them, Jake and Elvis. Elvis, he lives up to his name. He's definitely the rock and roll of the group. For big horses, they're pretty athletic, and they really blend with the lead pair, and we're pretty excited what the future holds for them. And then in the wheel, we have our mainstays there, Rusty and Chief. Rusty, he's 12 years old, but he just seems to be getting better with age, and they're kind of the rock of the hitch.
Zubrod Percherons, as we've said, is owned by Dr. Chad Zubrod and family. He admits it's great to be close to home.
It's really nice to have it in our backyard. I mean, for once, instead of us traveling 12 or 14 hours to the shows to compete against all these guys, they got to come to 12 or 14 hours, and we just got to go down the road, which, you know, is nice for us. You know, it's hard to put a bunch together that, you know, to go to the top right away and to be in the top 12, you know, with a bunch that's, you know, 4 of them are 4-year-olds right now. So they haven't even hit their prime yet. So, you know, we got a lot of things to look forward to if we can keep them together.
The judges seen the hitches go each direction of the arena.
And now, Pam, it's time to line up and really get a detailed once-over for that judge to make his final decisions for this heat.
And when they line up, this is where they look at the condition of the wagon, how the horses are shod, just the intricate details. And that's what separates first, second, third, and fourth.
Pam, you and I have been here before, and we've seen that just 1 point can really separate first and second place.
Dr. Harry Anderson of Total Feeds has been a supporter of the 6-horse hitch finals for the last 3 years here in Oklahoma City. He shares why draft horses and all breeds do so well on Total Equine.
The last several years we've been doing support and the sponsorship for the 6-horse hitch, and it's really fun to be around these animals. And maybe it's a lifelong thing that I have, that I grew up as a youngster until I was probably 10 years old or 9 or 10 years old, driving a team of Percherons, and I didn't give it a thought at the time. You know, it was just a way of life, and we did it. They were there, and we did a lot of things with them, especially in the wintertime. And then when I was introduced to the 6-horse hitch, I thought, wow, this is kind of something I'd like to be a part of in some fashion or way, and I can be close to them this way and at least help their organization be more successful and be more active, and that's why I'm here. And of course, I want to talk to them about programs and stuff as a nutritionist, and I'm always trying to help them and help their horses be better. But that is my passion and why we're here.
Thank you again to Total Equine, and don't go anywhere. The North American 6-horse hitch Classic Series Finals will be right back.
Welcome back to the North American 6-Horse Hitch Championship.
This is heat number 2. There's 4 more hitches, and it begins with Willow Creek Belgian mares.
And I have to say, I know we can't have favorites, but I love these high-stepping mares. Next up in the arena, another big set of Belgians, this time geldings from Canada, Country Lane Belgians, driven by Kyle Forsyth.
And coming into the arena, you can hear the crowd starting to go crazy. These are the hometown favorites, Express Clydesdales.
Josh Minchell always does such an incredible job. The black Clydesdales always look beautiful, and we can't ignore how time-consuming preparing them are, especially with all those white feather.
And another Canadian representative, McLaughlin Clydesdales, Ray McLaughlin on the driver's seat.
And I know we had a chance to visit with Ray briefly. He was so excited to come down to Oklahoma, loved qualifying for the finals.
There's a science to which horse fills which spot in the 6. So we talked to Gary Miller about his strategy.
Our strategy is switching things around to try to get the best horse in each position. We'll switch out one of the wheel horses and just try to get a notch or 2, 3 better. And to be in the top 4, to be in the redrive at this level is pretty gratifying. We have Missy and Cassie in the lead, which we've used last half the season. And Cassie, the left lead mare, is just a 3-year-old. So for a 3-year-old to compete at this level is pretty gratifying.
Kyle Forsyth has a strong group of Belgian geldings, and he doesn't deny it.
The lead team is George and Extreme. We actually have had them, they're 8 this year. We've had them since they were 3-year-olds. Really cool pair, and Extreme is kind of like all business, and George, he's a bit of a clown, but I mean, he's a phenomenal driving horse. And then the swing team is a horse we picked up this year from a family over by Ottawa named Magnum, and then we drive him with Flash, and they're a really honest, straight, good driving swing team. And then we have Bud and Stu on the wheel, and Stu is just this big, easygoing kid. He just loves it, and Bud, he's all business.
This year's 6-horse hitch finals is one of the toughest in memory. Josh Minchell has worked really hard on it.
The competition is extremely tough this year here. It was a challenge to even get qualified to come to the show this year. Obviously, with the increase in the premiums, it's really driven the breeds to go out and compete and try to make it here. Plus, we get to be on TV. I would say pretty easy to pick out the best one in our hitch, and that's our left wheel horse, Ben. He's big and athletic, and he likes his job, so he goes out there and gives it 110% every day. So I would say he's my pick.
One of the first people I ever met as I came into the draft horse industry was Ray McLaughlin, all the way up in Calgary, Canada, and he's got some great Clydesdales himself, Pam.
We use Ace and Walker on the wheel. They're the 2 of the biggest that we have, and they fit best together. And then we put Marty in the right swing, and I try to fit in McDougal in the left he's just new on the scene, and this is very new to him. And then I got my leaders are Peppy and Russ, and they've been my leaders for the last 3 years now, so they're really dependable. You can pretty near put them any place you want.
The judge is going to see these horses work both ways of the arena. There's Willow Creek making a strong reversal.
And the reverse is a great opportunity to see them really stepping in time and really getting a great overall look of the wagon.
Beautiful Country Lane Belgians coming up, Express Clydesdales. And when they go in front of the bleachers, boy, this crowd goes crazy.
They absolutely do, Pam. As you see, there is Whitley coming off the box as she's going to wait for them to line up. Next up, Country Lane Belgians coming in, as well as Josh Minchell with Express Clydesdales. And lastly, coming around the bend, Ray McLaughlin and McLaughlin Clydesdales.
This is heat number 2. When we come back, we'll have 4 more hitches, and I'm betting that we'll have a drive-off as well. Stay with us. More from Oklahoma City when the North American 6-horse hitch Classic Series Finals continues here on RFD TV.
One company is on a mission to put 1 million people to work each year. Sounds like a big number, doesn't it? Not to Express Employment Professionals. Maybe you're looking for administrative work, perhaps an executive assistant. Or maybe you'd like crunching numbers in accounting.
Or the greater your investment.
Or a new role in customer service. Let us help. We'll open doors for you. Express is on a mission to put 1 million people to work each year.
From Oklahoma City, welcome back to the North American 6-Horse Hitch Championship. Once again, Pam Mennick and Katie Kaufman.
This is heat number 3. These are the last 4 hitches, and it begins with Shining Stars Percherons.
All the way from Altoona, Iowa, Jared Hansen at the lines, Reese Mangles assisting him. Next in the arena, powerful Belgians of the Brockhoff family, driven by Bud Miller. And Pam, if you'll realize, Bud's brother Gary is also in the finals.
We've got 2 sets of brothers in this year's finals, the Hansbergers and the Millers. And here's some beautiful Clydesdales. These are the feathers of the Clydesdales of Mark DeCoudris of Broken Spoke Clydesdales. He's got a very interesting story we'll hear later.
And finally, the Black Shires of Dakota Thunder, driven by Joe Buren. And Pam, seeing Joe Buren at the lines, I know that you had a hand in helping them with the Rose Parade just last year, and I know it was a very memorable experience.
Of course, Jared, one of our favorites, he drives the Shining Stars group for owner Diana Marquardt.
There's definitely a passion and a drive to compete and to succeed from the top to the bottom in Shining Stars. Definitely our leader, Diana. She puts in all of the effort that's needed to make sure that we're successful. You know, we always have good horses. We have access to the resources that we need to succeed into keeping our horses healthy and keeping them comfortable. From the very top to the very bottom, everything is taken care of.
The Brockhoff family making their appearance at the finals this year. Sarah Brockhoff plays a big role in handling her family's team.
We had an awesome group of horses this year that drove hard for me, and Bud that really helped me get here too, and yeah, it was just an amazing year.
The lead horse is Ghost, and his mate's Charlie, and then in the swing we have Jet and Sheldon. In the wheel we have Bud and Cletus. If I would have to pick a superstar in our hitch, it'd probably be Ghost.
Mark DeCoudris making his second trip here to the 6-horse hitch finals. He says he's living a dream.
I'm 57 years old, but I'm just out here like living the dream. I'm just a kid. I'm new at this, and I always had a dream of having a team of horses, and so in October 2011, bought my first team of bay mares. I didn't even know how to harness or drive or anything. I had to take lessons before I could even take the horses home. And then I've learned how to drive a 6 and been in the show ring and been lucky enough to be here twice now.
What a great story, Pam. And like Mark says, he's living the dream and is proof that anyone can do this if they put their mind to it and have the passion.
And this bright yellow wagon is driven by Joe Buren, who says it's not easy to find Shires.
The owners that do raise a good quality Shires, they really like to hold on to them because there are so few. The other thing is, you don't even see Shires at the public sales typically like you do the Belgians and the Percherons. The excitement just started to build, and we saw hitches that were racing towards the very final end, which was extremely exciting this year. We saw Belgians, Percherons, Clydes. They were all chasing right to the very end, and it was extremely intense.
Pam, as you saw them making their reversals, now they're coming in to line up. This will conclude heat number 3. And as we see them leave the arena, we have to think to ourselves, what's going through their mind? Are they happy with their drive or wishing for some improvement?
Well, and we know that there will probably be a drive-off.
Pam, speaking of the drive-off, when it comes to the finals, you have to wonder as a driver, are you having your horses give it their all in the first heat, or do you think they're saving a little back for the drive-off?
Well, and I think as we've talked to some of these drivers, they've said that that's the key to it, is having enough left in the tank when they come back into the arena. But before we go to the drive-off, each performance has started with the exciting skills of Jason Goodman and his amazing Percheron Thunder, which is sponsored by Gary Young of Young Living Essential Oils.
Gary's to the point now to where he's very passionate about the draft horses. He has a huge program. He wants to give back to everything, not just compete, but use the draft horses more for marketing, and then also give back to his customers and fan base and everything as well. So this is a way for us to showcase the program that they have and to get into more shows. And here we stepped up and we've done a sponsorship with the Classic Series Finals, and then also bring in our exhibition bunch to do demonstrations. The performance horses, especially like the horses that are shown here in the Classic Series Finals, these horses are athletes. They are just like the NFL superstars, the NBA superstars. This is the best of the best, the cream of the crop, and they are all athletes. And when you get to this level, it's really neat to see how athletic they are. So that's our job, is to go in there And a lot of people don't realize that even a 2,200-pound animal can turn or run like a 1,000-pound quarter horse, just with a lot more power. So to see them sling a 3,000-pound wagon sideways in an arena at a run, it demonstrates the power and athletic ability that these animals have.
Jason definitely shows us another gear of these Percherons. That was exciting.
It was, and not only is Jason having a good time, but I think those horses are having just as good a time.
We'll be back with the drive-off next.
They know too. They're warmed up. They're ready to go. They know they're coming back in for something special, and so it kind of goes hand in hand with the driver and the horses, and they seem to go for it.
Welcome back to the North American 6-Horse Hitch Championship.
Pam, we've talked about what a competitive finals this is. There was a different judge for each go-round.
Today's judge, Donnie Langell, is bringing 4 hitches back into the arena for a closer evaluation. We asked him just what he looks for.
I like to see uniformity, I like to see smoothness and balance, I like to see a big wheel team, fancy lead team, and lots of headsets, ears, and action is a big important part of it, but it's not the do-all, end-all of it. I want to see them work as a unit.
No surprise, Pam, Country Lane Belgison's coming back in for the drive-off. Driver Kyle Forsyth. You know, they always make such a showing.
And I'm so happy that they made it back into the drive-off. Followed by All-Star Farms Percherons, Ross Hansberger, of course, Nicole up there with him. We talked about that. And who else is coming into the arena? This is always suspenseful.
Next in, Pam, is the Hammersmith Belgians with Jason Hansberger at the line. So we have a couple brothers here that have made the drive off.
Back to back entering into the arena. There's a lot of moving parts to a successful 6-horse hitch, according to Jason.
Probably the biggest challenge is bringing your A game 3 straight nights. The competition's so stiff. And I personally, I think it's probably the deepest it's ever been. You pretty much better have them dialed in every night, and if not, you'll pay for it.
And lastly, a drive-off wouldn't be complete without Blue Ribbon Days. There's no surprise with Dean Woodbury being the last in for the drive-off. These Blue Ribbon mares are so impressive, and Dean always does such an exceptional job.
When you come back in for the drive-off, you make the drive-off, you want to be really strong. And that's actually something that I've been very lucky with this year is every time you go back in, the mares just seem to be stronger. And that's what you strive for.
Of course, a 2-time champion of this event, and I think 2-time reserve champion as well, always makes a great showing.
He really does, and pressure doesn't seem to really faze him. And for Kyle Forsyth, he was so close last year, and he was so impressive. It's great to see him back in the drive-off.
The judge is taking a really, really close look. There's Donnie Langell. He is looking to see all the horses stepping. He wants to see them, as he said, step as a unit, as one.
Kyle Forsyth, as we're going to see him coming around the bend, he said this is the strongest finals he's seen in years.
The competition level this year is probably as strong as it's ever been too, so it's definitely going to be tough.
I'm so glad they made the drive-off. What an emotional time for them. Ted would be so proud of this hitch making it into the drive-off.
You're right, Pam, and as you can see, all of the drivers are wearing blue and yellow ribbons on their lapels. That's obviously paying their respects to not only Ted, but also Dean Woodbury's father as well.
Ross says that the All-Star Percherons are hitting on all cylinders.
Our right lead mare, Tori, she's the one that we've had for the longest now. She's always a rock, and we have a wheel mare named Silk that she's pretty much a special individual. She's kind of what I call a freak of nature. She's a big horse that's athletic like a smaller horse, but she's pretty special.
As the hitches make their reversal, the entire season comes down to this. We talked about it earlier, a year of hauling to shows, hitching, grooming, braiding. And it comes down to not only this one day, this one performance, but this one drive-off.
You're right, Pam. They've had just an excruciating last 3 days of competition, so to make it into the drive-off is a huge feat. But on top of that, this is the moment they have to give it their all. You and I know Judge Donnie Langell. He's tough. He's looking for every detail to separate first through fifth place, or even through 12th.
And each go-round has had a different judge, and each of those judges is an expert teamster themselves. Here we see Blue Ribbon Days. Always, Dean makes a big, wide sweep around the arena.
He is always one that really gets into those corners. Next up, we have Country Lane Belgians, and as you have said, Pam, this was such an emotional time for the English family, not to mention the Forsyth as well, and so to have them in the stands, huge support system. You know that Ted would be so proud of this team.
All-Star Percherons are really pulling on him. They had a lot left in the tank. Look at them.
They are very strong mares, to say the least. Hammersmith Belgians. Pam, you and I have had the opportunity to get to know so many of these drivers and their teamsters along with the entire team. And I have to say, Ross and Jason, they're pretty funny.
We're pretty lucky that the draft horse industry has welcomed us into their family. Here they are lining up. These 4 hitches will get one last look over by Donnie Langell.
And no matter what, no matter the placing, I know it's always great. Everyone wants to be the champion. Of course, that's why they're competing and that's why they have these great horses. But to make the drive off at the 6-Horse Hitch Classic Series finals, that's a testament in itself.
These horses are anxious to find out who wins as well. And now the rest of the hitches will come into the arena. So we've got 4 of them already in there. The other 8 hitches will now enter the arena. There's Willow Creek, Gary Miller. I think he expected a little bit more, but you just don't know. It's so tough. You've got to make 3 strong drives every day.
Not to mention, when and if you do get back into the drive-off, they've got to give it their all. Next into the arena, Shining Star Percherons with driver Jared Hansen at the lines with his assistant Reese Mangles.
Of course, a couple of years ago, they almost won this event.
They almost did.
Here are Brockwood Belgians, of course, owned by the Brockhoff family. One last opportunity for them to take in this crowd. They appreciate this sold-out crowd every night. And a great story we heard from Mark DeCoudris of Broken Spoke Clydesdales, but you know, the Clydesdales just don't get a look from the judges when they're in the same ring, in the same competition as powerful Belgians and high-stepping Percherons. But they know that. They come here to show to the best of their ability. They get points, and they start the new year, next year, competing one-on-one, heads-up with other breeds.
You're exactly right, Pam. Now we have coming back into the arena for the final time, Dakota Thunder Shires with Joe Buren at the lines. And as you've said, you know, the Shires and the Clydesdales, they have it a little bit tougher, but that doesn't say they give their absolute best every time.
And last but not least, Dr. Chad Zubrod.
Pam, we're only minutes away from crowning this year's champion. I can't wait to see who it is, and I know it's only going to be just by a point or 2.
Stay with us. We'll be back to Oklahoma City in just a moment. Welcome back to the North American 6-Horse Hitch Classic Series Finals. This is the moment we've been waiting for. The judge has turned in his scorecard.
Yes, he has, Pam. I'm anxious to see who comes in 12th place. It's Broken Spoke Clydesdales.
Mark DeCoudris, the driver, he's just proud to have been here.
11th place, McLaughlin Clydesdales. Ray McLaughlin at the lines, all the way from Calgary, coming from Canada. Great showing here.
In 10th place, Dakota Thunder Shires with Joe Buren. And in 9th place, the beautiful Clydesdales of Express Clydesdales. Once again, we say it all the time, they are the hometown favorite. Josh and Laura have worked so hard on this year's finals.
We'll move now to 8th place, Zubrod Percherons, right here from Guthrie, Oklahoma.
Of course, he's a vet right up the road. And in 7th place, it's Shining Stars Percherons. Jared Hansen, Reese Mangles will collect his 7th place ribbon.
And now to 6th place, Brockwood Belgians, the Brockhoff family, Bud Miller at the lines. And you know, we've talked about this is still a young group of Belgians, and he has to be proud.
And in 5th place, Hammersmith Belgians. Of course, they made the drive off, but this is the culmination of 3 go-rounds.
4th place, Willow Creek Belgians, owned by Matt and Sue Frieden.
Now it comes down to 3rd place. This is Country Lane Belgians. And you see Ted English's daughter up in the box with Kyle Forsyth. There is Chris and Chris's daughter applauding them. 3rd place this year, Country Lane Belgians, but 1st place in the 3rd go-round, and that's how they average these placings.
The Forsyth and English families got through an extremely emotional week, Pam.
Now it comes down to 2 hitches sitting in the arena. A 2-time champion with Blue Ribbon Days, along with All-Star Farms Percherons, who's had 3 great drives. 2nd place goes to Blue Ribbon Days. They are the reserve champions this year. It could have gone either way, I'm sure. When you take a look at the judges' scorecard and placings, like you say, 1 point between them.
Wow. And as we know, Dean is such a tough competitor, and these Blue Ribbon Days mares looked absolutely perfect the entire show. There's the Clevie and Day family giving everyone a great hug. This is a lot of blood, sweat, and tears throughout the year, Pam.
Congratulations to Blue Ribbon Days Percherons, our reserve champions. And that leaves 1.
It all comes down to All-Star Percherons from Bellevue, Michigan. Ross Hansberger at the lines. Pam, you and I talked to him just when the show was getting started, and he had a gut feeling it was going to be a good week.
Boy, take a look at those. That wheel horse still has a lot left in the tank. He's acting up just a little bit. Good thing the judge isn't judging now. But I know that's part of what made him a champion.
But a huge congratulations to all the families with All-Star Percherons. This has to be a dream come true.
One of the first people we met at the 6-horse hitch finals 5 years ago was Nicole's dad, Ross's father-in-law. As they collect their $20,000 first place check and put those beautiful flowered ribbons on the horses, Mr. Bob Funk and the other sponsors handing out the $20,000 first place check and the championship belt buckle.
Let's talk with the new champion, Ross Hansberger.
3 tough nights of competition with the best there is, and we were fortunate to come out on top. I want to be in the first heat and get in there and make my impression right away, and get the mares rested hopefully for the redrive. So that was kind of the game plan going into it. We had a really good first drive and a really good redrive, so we're really happy with how things went. I had a feeling today was between us and Country Lane because the judge come and inspect us right at the end, one last look. And so I had a feeling it was between us. I was hoping it was for first, so I had a good feeling. And once they announced they were first today, I had a good feeling I was second, and that would give me the overall wins. This means everything to us. I mean, we've worked so hard this year. We've had the most unbelievable season we'll probably ever have, and the draft horse industry is a big family, and there's been a lot of tragedies this year. The Triple Star family in Michigan had a tragic car accident, and the Woodbury family lost their grandpa a few weeks ago, and Ted English passing too. And it's been a very humbling year, you know, to have great success, but you know, people close to you have had a hard time, and you think about that, and it brings you back to reality, and it just makes this feels so good, but yet you think about those others too. Ours is a family effort. We have a few families put together to do this deal, and everybody's involved and everybody does their part, and it just makes it a wonderful experience to do it all together. Unbelievable, just unbelievable.
Congratulations to the 2017 champion. What a finals. In the 6 years we've been covering it, I'd have to say that this was the closest race. That $100,000 payoff brought out the best of the best.
You're absolutely right, Pam, and we can't help but thank all of the sponsors, the hitches, and the people behind the scenes that help make those hitches stand out in the arena.